All right. Monroe feels like ages ago. Don't have a lot of comment on that besides it was great to get a win going into the bye week. Got some really good work in last week. Got some guys healthy. Got some good self-scout going. Now we're on to Troy and had a really, really good Tuesday practice. Went full pads. Getting ready to go for Troy. Questions?
What was the bye week looking like for the players? Like, how much were they working out still? How much were y'all still practicing, or did you give them time off, or what was that like?
Pretty normal for those guys. Monday was academics. Tuesdays and Wednesdays we practice and lifted just like we always do. Thursday was more of a tempo run, walk through, Troy prep. Then they're off Friday, Saturday, back in the building Sunday. So a pretty normal day, but we just limited some guys that have played a lot of reps and got some young guys some good work and continuing to build that depth for this stretch and then moving forward.
Did you get to sit back and watch some games on Saturday for once?
Yeah, I would have loved to. I had a little kid birthday party at 11 o'clock, right on cue for the UCF OU game. So I was watching that on my phone, so that wasn't necessarily enjoyable. And then I watched a little bit of the North Texas Tulane game on my phone, and then I had an event that night, Jim West's event on Saturday night. So didn't get to watch as much football as I'd like, but obviously both things were good. My little cousin's birthday, and then Jim West was awesome. I'd miss any game for that.
Coming up this Saturday, you have Troy. You were just talking about them, pretty tough opponent. How much tape have you gotten to dive into, and what are you expecting from the Trojans?
Yeah, a lot of tape on both sides of the ball. I'll start, with their offense. I think they're really well coached. Coach Joe Craddock does an unbelievable job. Somebody I've worked with and a great friend of mine, and I know he'll have those guys ready. And I think their quarterback is really smart. He knows exactly what he's doing on each and every play. Very well prepared. The running back and the O-line is obviously. With them having a defensive head coach, they're a run-first, play-action team, and you can tell that they're physical, they're tough, But I think maybe the misconception, obviously, yes, they do want to run the ball, and that's their identity. I think their receivers and what their quarterback can do through the air is something that obviously we have to prepare for. I think those receivers are unbelievable. Obviously number 6 is a guy he might be the best receiver in the conference. I mean, he's really good. So we got to prepare for him, but they got other guys too that can really go. It's going to be a tough battle for us. We got to be physical, got to play tough, got to fly around, and then on defense. Same thing. They're very sound in what they do. You can see they're very well prepared. They have their different checks to different formations, and I think obviously they're Jack and that guy, the stand-up edge guy, is unbelievable. He's big time. And obviously their whole front 7 is really good. Linebackers, their D-line, everybody. Their one corner, I think, is one of the best in the conference, if not the best. So they're just a really good team. It's going to be one of those deals where we got to come out and play solid and execute at a very high level, play a clean game, and really in all 3 phases, very sound in special teams as well. So have a ton of respect for all their coaches and Coach Summerall, and man, they're one of those guys that you could just tell, like when we had media days and stuff like that, kind of gravitated towards each other, both young guys and just a really solid person. And they got Cole Hurd over there, a guy that I worked for at UCF, their chief of staff, and does a great job evaling and getting the head coach information, and just one of the best out there, really hard worker. Their strength coach, Rusty Witt, is a guy that was at Texas Tech with my brother, and my brother used to tell great stories about him and how hard they worked and the toughness and that goes into their culture. So they're going to be ready to go, and I'm glad we have them at home. I think that'll be huge, getting a home crowd, homecoming, because we're going to need every bit of that to pull this one off.
With this being homecoming, there's a lot of emphasis this week about the Southwest Texas lineage and all that stuff. Even though this is your first year, what have you learned about what Southwest Texas means? Despite going through the Texas State going through the name change.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I probably don't have as much knowledge on that. for me, I think it's just been more focused on the game and let the other people kind of worry about that and good, bad. I'm sure there's mixed emotions on both, one of those type deals. But I know we got a really good football team coming in here, so I'm just trying to get these guys prepared more than that.
Kind of what you were saying, what makes Troy such a good football team?
I think it starts with their toughness. I do. I think that's kind of what they pride themselves on, and they really are. They're tough on both sides. They're stop the run the ball. I would imagine the first thing they put up on each slide on that day one of install. So.
Looking at this defense, they kept you in that game, in that last one at ULM. Do you think they're starting to find their groove after there were some times they let some points get on the board, but the two times that the offense has struggled, the defense stood up? Do you think they're starting to find their rhythm this time of the season?
I think so. And really for me, I think, our defense in those big games have played really well, almost kind of playing up to the competition. Talking about Baylor and UTSA, both played really well there. I think, preached all week about Monroe being Super Bowl. I thought they played really well there. And then, you got your Nevadas and Jackson State maybe didn't play as well. And then at times versus Lafayette played really well. At times versus Southern Miss played really well to start the game. So I think sometimes, especially with our offense and the way we're built, the defense, it might look a certain way, but I think our defense is playing pretty well right now. I think guys are flying around, starting to get healthy, and so that I think that'll really help us this week.
TJ's thrown some pick sixes at home the last couple of home games. What have you been working on with him to keep the ball out of the opponent's hands?
Yeah, I think for him it's just when the play's not there, or I think the Jackson State one was like more of like, hey, we're playing Jackson State. I'm gonna play a little bit more. I'm gonna throw this fade when it wasn't there, type deal, instead of being more disciplined. I think last week it was just one of those moments where it was an execution on our part offensively. Things didn't go exactly the way they should have, the way we practiced it all week, and he's just got to do a good job in those moments of knowing when the play's over, especially early downs, and just throwing the ball away.
Is it kind of easier playing Troy because the last two home opponents you've had are teams that you probably should have had a lot easier time with, and Troy's obviously a team that's way better than those two?
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I think for me and the guy, you never want to play someone like Troy as far as, they're really good. But I think the excitement level and the energy and the attention to detail, always your antennas kind of go up a little bit. So I think that's a good point. I haven't really thought about it that way, but I think.
Speaking of good points, your buddy Traylor was talking the other day something about getting his fingers stuck in a mousetrap or something like that. And I know you guys go way back, and I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that, just because I know Traylor's a smart guy and you wouldn't expect him to get his fingers stuck in a mousetrap.
Yeah, well, he did graduate from Gilmer High School, just like me. So, I could see where that could happen. But, I didn't know all of it. I just saw someone posted the picture about his finger, and it didn't look like it felt very good. So, I'm sure there was the reason behind it, but I don't know.
Any advice on how you would give him about properly setting a mousetrap? Because I've done those before.
Yeah.
Those are tough.
Yeah, I don't have much. I don't really know how to do that. I just seen like the commercial, like the little, when you're little, and the mouse with the cheese. That's about all I know.
Thanks, GJ.
Yeah.
Coach, the back to the game time move from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Does that change the team's preparation in any way?
I don't think so. For us, I think we're kind of used to playing at 6. That's what we've been doing. So it keeps us in a rhythm and that whole deal. So probably not a lot of change for us.
So with TJ Finley, you were just talking about
Yep.
him kind of working through some of those issues. In the last game, it just seemed like he struggled a little bit. What was your assessment of what happened, not just on the interception, but that whole game? It just wasn't clicking. What do you think was going on?
Yeah, I think he's continuing. I thought the Lafayette game was probably his best game besides the one play, and then the Southern Miss. I think he played really well at times, and he's still first year in the system and really his first year to be a full-time starter. So there's probably going to be a little bit of that. But I think, you look at his stats and nationally and the way he's performed, I think he's performing very well. I think he's playing really well. He prepares very well. He's given us an opportunity in every game to win. So I think for him, it's just continuing to get to work and continuing to iron out the small details. And I think he's playing at a high level, and I think that'll continue.
You were talking about guys were banged up. You're getting healthy on the bye week. What about like Ishmael Mahdi? We know he had the club cast. Or how are some of these guys? And we saw Tavian Coleman leave the game. Some of these guys that were banged up. Josh Eaton, Dan Foster were out.
Yep. Ish will be good to go. All good from that. It was just kind of a minor deal. More of a precautionary deal going into bye week. We thought about sitting him, but he wanted to really play, so he'll be good to go. He's been practicing all through the bye, and this past week, Dan will be good. Josh Eaton's back. Should be relatively healthy.
What about Calvin Hill? We know he left too pretty early.
Yep, Calvin's good. Same deal.
Coleman, is he Tavian Coleman?
Tavian, he's good.
Wow.
Yep, Tavian's good. Caleb as well. Caleb Coleman as well. Trying to think who else. I think that's about it.
Got the healthy part down on the bye.
Yeah. I mean that's what I told him last week is I'd never really seen something like that. I mean it's just part of it. Probably in the NFL you have it a little bit, but you can just sign guys. For us, most of our team didn't practice. Not most of our team. That's probably exaggeration, but a lot of our guys didn't practice versus Monroe. A lot of our key guys. So. Versus bye week, I just I told them like, hey, we got to focus on our academics and health. And obviously the coaches were working on Troy, and we did some things, with the ones with Troy, some walkthrough stuff and some full speed stuff as well. But it was more about ourselves and academically and getting healthy.
You talked about the crowd after that last game. Obviously, this homecoming, you'd want that same crowd. How important is it for the fans to show up kind of like they did last time?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, and I think that was a big part of going to the 6 o'clock was making sure the crowd was there and the same type atmosphere and even better. You got two teams at top of the division and homecoming and a lot to play for. So having that crowd there, having that student section rowdy again, they've been key in both of these a lot of these big time wins that we've had at home and something interesting happening every week with the student section. So that's good.
You just mentioned the fighting for the top spot in the Western Conference. With Louisiana losing, it's hard not to look at a path there. I don't know if it's like the bowl game with you. Is that something that you're thinking about, or is it just one step at a time from now on?
Yeah, I think for us it's just got to be one game at a time and really one practice at a time. We can't look ahead. There's just no point for us to do that. If it's meant to happen, and it'll happen. So we just got to go to work and we really control our own destiny right now. So it's all about us going out there every week and winning a game. And just like I said last week, the 6 wins is awesome. Obviously, that's a huge milestone for us. That was one of our goals, but it's not like the only goal we had for ourselves. So we have a lot to play for, and I think the guys are hungry and ready to go.